Good afternoon everyone, and welcome to another Friday afternoon coffee break. And I've got a revelation. I'm all out of milk. So I've no coffee. I have the sparkling water, which I shall be drinking during the breaks. I'm just going to wait for a few people to join in. So if you are here, if you are watching, I'd love to know where you are. This isn't like Periscope. It doesn't tell me who's watching unless they're a friend. So you'll need to introduce yourself. You can tell me where you are in the world in the comments box below, or you can give me a like and then I can check you out later on and give you a shout out. Last week we had people from Ireland, we had people from America, so do let me know where you are. And if you're called Eamon, no, there was somebody with there was a very popular name of people that were Darren. Hey Kate, thanks for joining in. Where are you today? I saw you were in Dublin. Not that I'm spying on you or anything. Okay, so the topics for today, I have a good few because I've been chatting to loads of people on Twitter today, which means my second topic is kind of, maybe it's not that it's irrelevant, but it's something that we can fix. Hey Mary. Okay, so here we go. Number one is, did you know that you can now upload a video to a private chat on Snapchat? Topic number one is self-explanatory. Up until now, you've not been able to do that, so you could upload a photo to a private chat. Hi Joseph, where are you in the world? The second one there is the evolution of Twitter. I almost told you everything about the first topic there, didn't I? Number three, what blogging platform should you use? Oh, hello from Manchester. I'm here in Ireland, but obviously I've got a very English accent. Not Manchester though, it's been years since I've been in Manchester. I'm from Essex. Number four is, are you repurposing content? So I'm going to kick off and start talking. Did you know that you can upload video to a private snap on Snapchat? Now I can't demo this for you live because I can't get Snapchat on my iPad, but up until recently you could upload an image to a private chat on Snapchat. You can't do that to your story, but you could do it to a private chat. But you couldn't upload a video, and this was kind of annoying because there's lots of people out there that will ask for kind of video responses. Your mum came from Dublin, brilliant. Well, I lived in Dublin for 10 years, but now I'm kind of down the country where it's cold. Now I can send people a video on Snapchat, which is kind of cool. And it means that every time people say, you know, snap me or tell me what you think, I don't have to get me big fat thumbs out to try and type something. I can actually say it in real life. And I'm sure you know there's kind of like voice messaging that you can do through Snapchat now as well as video. It's kind of cool. So that's my quick little one until I got a few people on board. My second one is the evolution of Twitter. When I was putting this together, I had a few different titles for it. So I had the evolution of Twitter, I had the death of Twitter, I had the decline of Twitter. But I don't want to think of Twitter that way. I want to think of nice things to do with Twitter because it is one of my favourite social networks. But it's definitely changing, and I feel hostile towards those changes, but then I figure maybe it's changing and maybe that's just the way it is. You might be aware that the first quarterly reports came out for Twitter and Facebook and all the social networks. They've just out, and that's not unusual. That's something to do with, you know, economics and all that stuff. But not surprisingly, the Twitter revenue has been down for the first quarter of the year. And that's kind of depressing. It doesn't surprise me because the Twitter advertising interface is just nasty. It's not like Facebook, which is very easy, very straightforward. It takes a little while to get your head around, but you're there. So it's hard for people like me or just small business owners to create ads. However, they have seen a slight increase in users, so they're not hemorrhaging users anymore. That's good news. And the thing that sparked this conversation is that I was talking to some people on Twitter about the fact that people just don't have conversations anymore. And that's so true. I used to be able to go in, look at Twitter search and find loads of people talking about whatever topic I put in. It was one of the things I loved about it. And now I go through my feeds every day Hi David, how are you? Whereabouts in the world are you? And I used to go through and I'd look and it'd be great conversations. Now I look through my feeds and it's really hard to find anyone to have a conversation with. And like I say, it kind of bucked the trend because that was the conversation I was having on Twitter this week. Do people not get into conversations anymore? Is it becoming something else? Is it a broadcast network? Because I know there seems to be less content creators on Twitter. I think people have suddenly become aware that they need to be saying something brilliant, whereas Twitter's always been like the world's biggest conversation. So you could have small talk about anything. But now some of the people I follow, all they do is retweet. So a couple of days a week I'll go in and my stream will just be full of retweets from those people. And the other thing people are doing is they're promoting themselves more. So in the old days, if I live in a town called Athy in County Kildare in Ireland. And if I typed in things to do in Athy or what's on in Athy today, or can anyone recommend a restaurant in Athy, I would always find answers to that question. Now, if I type something similar, I'll tell you about the weather in a moment. If I type something similar into Twitter now, it wouldn't give me that. It would give me a whole load of people that were promoting their restaurant or promoting what they did. But this is a change. It's not necessarily a bad thing. I'm still finding the answer. It's just not always a recommendation. It just doesn't mean I'm meeting people. The weather in Ireland is silly at the moment, Joseph. It's really silly. It was freezing cold and raining about 10 minutes ago. Then I had to close the blinds because there was too much light coming in behind me because the sun's shining. So no snow yet, but there has been snow in Ireland. I heard it was in Tipperary recently. So that's the end of my rant on Twitter, really. I'd like to see more people having conversations. I'm always open to conversations. I'm always seeking them out. So come find me. I'm spider working. Say hello, and I'll definitely say hello back. On to topic number 3 then. Topic number 3 was another one that came from a Twitter conversation at the beginning of the week. Topic number 3 is what blogging platform. Oh, I just realised I forgot one of my props, and Kate's even watching, and Kate was the one that suggested this. This is a really interesting thing about Twitter. So I saw this reported on Mashable this morning, and that can't be true, but it is. Twitter is now listed not as a social network, not as a, I don't know, conversation or entertainment. Twitter is now listed in the Apple Store as, can you see that? A news app. So is that what Twitter will become? Okay, so what blogging platform can you use? When I practiced this, I went on a little bit too long about this, so I'll try and keep it brief. But I was having a conversation on Twitter with a great blogger called Sunny Spells and Scattered Showers. Fiona's her name. Do check out her blog. It's a mental health blog based in Ireland, and it's really, really great. And a guy called Keith Bahano, who was blogging before I was one of the first bloggers I ever met, and he's an elder of the internet here in Ireland. And we were discussing what blogging platform we should use. And I suppose I used to love WordPress. I am a big WordPress aficionado. My website's built on WordPress, but that's wordpress.org. We were looking at some of the free platforms. The first one being wordpress.com. Now, I have 2 major issues with wordpress.com. The first one is that you can't add Google Analytics unless you pay for the business version of wordpress.com. I can't see why you do that. Why would you do that and not build your site and have your own hosting company and have your own space on wordpress.org? But anyway, you can't add Google Analytics, and that's big for me. I want to know what's going on with my site. The second thing that I don't like about wordpress.com is that you can't add AdSense to it. So that's the ads that you get from Google, and when people click them, you can make some revenue out of that. Unless, again, you pay, and not quite the small level of money, no, you have to pay big money to WordPress.com to allow AdSense. So that's crazy. And the difference just between WordPress.com and WordPress.org is WordPress.org is if you want to go and buy your domain name and you go and buy hosting from a hosting company, you can then put their software on that site. Whereas WordPress.com is off the shelf. You just go and sign in. So then we've got Blogger, and I used to not like Blogger at all. Well, my first blog was on Blogger and I kind of liked it, but it was desperate to move to WordPress always for the new things, for the new shiny things that I could get. But now I'm kind of warming to Blogger. It's owned by Google, as you probably know, so you can install Google Analytics. Of course you can. I've heard their inbuilt stats aren't kind of that good though. And one of the reasons I like it is because I worked with a group of older people a couple of years ago, and I got them to set up their own blogs because I think that's important. And they took to Blogger like a duck to water because all you need is your Google account. You're in, you're starting to blog. So it is a great platform. But then there's new platforms like Medium. Medium is kind of like, it's a cross between a blogging platform, it's a social network. There's no real design, all mediums look the same, but it's great for content discovery. It's really the content that's speaking to you then rather than anything else. Then, of course, there's LinkedIn. You can publish on LinkedIn now. So if LinkedIn is a place where you hang out, I think this is a really good solution for new bloggers because you don't have to worry about that consistency, about having a blog post up every week or every couple of weeks. You can just blog on LinkedIn, it appears on your profile and people will see it. So there's advantages and disadvantages to all those. And of course, there's millions of other blog platforms I haven't even got to. But what's important at the end of the day is your content. If your content speaks to your audience, that's what matters. So don't get hung up on your blogging platform. Just start blogging. Okay, moving on to number 4, which is my final topic. Are you repurposing content? And the reason I put this up there is I've been writing a blog post for Agora Pulse this week about the fact that Instagram are going to be introducing 60-second video. That will be up live on their site on Monday. And 60-second video is interesting because one of the things I do when repurposing content would be taking a piece of content either that will work on different platforms or taking it and just changing it a little bit to get more out of it. Because I know one of the biggest problems that small business owners face is creating content. I don't know what it is that stops people getting there, that gets them to jump over the edge and start creating content. And the reason I don't know is because I am a content creator. I take photos, I just do it. It's something that I find relatively easy. But I know that a lot of small business owners struggle with that, and that's where they struggle with social media. So my thing is, if you can get one piece of content out there and then break it down into lots of bits of content, you've kind of saved yourself a lot of time, and all that effort you've put in, it isn't just wasted in kind of one splurge of putting it out there. So there's 2 ways that you do this. Number 1 would be what I'm doing with my Friday videos. Every Friday I have a video, it's 15 seconds long. And it's a video tip. I put it on Facebook first, but then I can share it on Twitter. And then the reason it's 15 seconds long is I can share it on Instagram as well. So I've got a piece of content that works across networks. Now, of course, when I share it on those different platforms, there'd be a different caption that would go with it, different tone of voice, maybe depending on which network I'm sharing it on. But the second way you can repurpose content is think about the content you're creating somewhere and how you could change it for a different network. So a Snapchat story, for example, I've just put one up on my YouTube channel because it was Ed Balls Day yesterday, and I created a story about what Ed Balls Day was because I think it's hilarious. And so I downloaded that onto my phone and I created a YouTube video out of it. Or if you're writing a blog post, maybe you can take some quotes from that blog post and you can create images with those quotes on, and you could share them out on your Facebook, on your Twitter again, and again Instagram. Or maybe you could take a selection of quotes and you could make a SlideShare out of it. So you can make a PowerPoint and upload it onto SlideShare. Or maybe you could take some key images out of it or key sections out of it and turn it into a SlideShare. Or a podcast, you could re-record your blog post as a podcast. So all that stuff you can get from one type of content. So if you are a business owner and you're struggling with finding content, that's what I recommend you do. Go and use it. Go and try it out for something else. Try it on a different channel. Try and break it up into different sections so you've got loads. Okay, that's it for this week's Friday afternoon coffee. I'll be back next week with whatever topics have popped up on Twitter. Thanks for joining in. Thanks for all the comments, everyone. Don't forget to give me a like so I can check you out afterwards. Thanks for joining. Until next week, goodbye.